Oh, well, hi folks, I'm back again. It's been a while. I've been very busy making stuff, fixing stuff, and trying to help my neighbours as best I can in these funny times. Anyway, so I'm down in my new little Salley garden that I'm planting. I'm a bit late, but everything's an experiment, and it doesn't really matter this time of year. There's plenty of growing season left. So the Salley, just to remind you, the Salley garden, it comes from a very famous poem that was published in 1889 by William Butler Yeats. I'm going to try and a few lines of it. Down by the Salley garden, my love and I did meet, but I've been young and foolish, with her would not agree. Now, that is a very famous poem. It has also been turned into a tune, and nearly every child in Ireland knows that tune. For children play it in the schools. It's a great tune and it's a beautiful poem, and it gives us a history of the old Salley garden, that people grew Salley gardens to make stuff from. And even on this bit of landmine up here in the middle of nowhere, down below is an old Salley. There's an old Salley growing next to a ruin there. The ruin's been there for hundreds of years. There was someone living in there at the turn of the century, but not since. But the willow's still growing there. I'm pretty convinced that it is from that original Salley garden to the house, because it is the thin leaf willow and it would have been used to make baskets. Anyway, let's get on. A few things to cover today. So, I've got a few cuttings that I prepared earlier, and I had them soaking. You can sort of see this one's actually started to grow roots already, so it is always a good idea, but as long as you cut the willow fresh, you can more or less stick it straight in the ground. So, as you can see in front of me, I have this piece of carpet laid out. I try not to use plastic. I try to recycle as much as I can these days. And I was doing this before things went a bit funny. So, this is an old woolen carpet. And you can't really, I suppose in the time they were very expensive carpets. This poor thing's ended up on my garden. But anyway, the thing about it is it's not got any plastic in it, so eventually it will go back into the earth, no problem at all. And also what it's doing is it's mulching around the willows, so that the willows don't have to compete with the grass growing or anything, so that they're happy on their own. So it's better if you try to plant them straight into soft ground. Sometimes in very bad ground I had to put a spike in and break it, but if the ground is a bit stony, sometimes they don't take. And I have planted these ones quite close together. They're about a foot apart at the moment, and I could thin them out later when they get going. They won't all take. We'll see. We'll come back to this garden in a couple of months when it starts to sprout again. So, very simply, just making sure that the the sprout where it's going to sprout are pointing up, where it's going to bud, that they're pointing upwards. You can always tell. And what I've done is just very simply made a cut into the carpet there, just with a knife. And I just make a cross into the carpet with the penknife. And where's that? This is the one. And then pop that in. And then what I normally do is just very gently give that a tap into the ground. It's not too bad here. I can trim this later if I want to, but it'll start to sprout around here, and it's already got a sprout coming up there, so it's happy days. And then for the next few days while it's not raining, I'm going to make sure that I do give them a drop of water So a bit of water with the old watering can. Now let's have a look what we've got here. My two little plants, look, that I planted in the cabin a few weeks ago, and I'm just going to pot them on again. I'm going to keep them in pots for now, just so I can take them with me, keep me company. Because so I remember, you always need someone to talk to, even if it's an old willow plant. And they're doing quite well. One of them has got a bit taller than the other, and the reason why one's gone a bit higher is this high one has got 3 shoots coming out of it, and this one on the other side has got 5 coming out of it. So it's got a little bit more going. But what we're going to do now is very simply pot them on again. So I've got 2 plant pots made out of my milk cartons, and there's 1, 2, and then I found this the other day, which is called a dibber, and it's for planting bulbs and potatoes and whatever. I actually made this about 25 years ago in a show, and I was actually, when I was still using the pole lathe, believe it or not. So made with no power tools, and I'm amazed it's still here and that I haven't chucked it on the fire like I normally do. But anyway, so the dibber's very handy. I'm going to make a little hollow in the middle of each pot there, and then we'll see. I haven't had a look at this, so we're going to very carefully lift one of them out, and I can see the roots coming nicely on that willow. It's quite well established, look, it's grown quite a few roots in a short period of time. So I'm just going to very carefully pop that into my pot like that, and do the same to the other one. They'll go a bit faster now, they won't be in competition. And I've had them outside. I had them inside for a little while, but I've got them outside now, and they're doing okay. So those 2, give them a drop of water. Happy days. Right, let's pop these over here. Now the other thing I want to just quickly talk about. Now the next few videos, I'm going to be trying getting back into making a few things from that tree that I cut down in the previous video. But for now, this behind me is a piece that I made at the end of last year. It was actually designed by TY students from a local school, and it's actually made entirely from 4 old ploughs and horseshoes. And unfortunately no one can sit on it at the moment, but I'm sure they will in the future. But the students came up with the idea. The project was partly funded through the Creative Island programme here in Ireland. Thank you very much for that. And it's basically, they knew the title of the project was called Ploughing Ahead. So it was all about how we can take old items from the past and give them a new lease of life, respect them for what they actually are in a different way. And I actually cut I used the curves of the ploughs to give the curve in the seat, and then the legs, you can see down here, these legs are actually where the plough would have attached to a coupling, which would have then been pulled by the horse. So I've tried to keep the character, and I have to say they really made a magnificent job of it. And also the other thing that we tried to do as well, I'll just show you now, haven't quite fixed these in properly yet. These came from a Lalandii tree in the village that was just being cut down and chucked away for firewood. People didn't really know what to do with it. But we actually, I have a friend that has a chainsaw mill, and we chainsawed some planks, and they look perfect. So it's recycled timber as well. And the thing about this particular Leylandii, I think it comes from the family of cypress, and it lasts very, very well outside without even actually putting anything on it. I'm just going to probably oil this. And it's beautiful timber. It doesn't rot outside. It's fantastic. So There's another trick and tip for you folks. Okay, well listen, I'm gonna leave it there now, and thanks a million for keep supporting me and watching me, and I'll be back with some more stuff